Hi, this is Dan Buller, retired electronics engineer. This time I'm sitting out in the woods because A, it's potato season, so the trucks are loading potatoes and driving them down the road across from my boat, so it's really noisy there. And they're doing some construction over on the other part of the lot, and so that's off limits. So I can't shoot the water unless I take a boat out, and I don't really feel like it, so I'm not gonna. And I apologize for all the noise. I got trucks on both sides of me, so what can I do? But this is a wonderful place. This is part of the property for the marina, and so it's a nice little place to go walking, and beautiful trees, and just a wonderful place. I want to talk about one really interesting thing that showed up on Quora. I used to be a big Quora person. I'm not anymore because they started kicking me off, and I'm like, well, screw that, I'm not going to do it. I kind of feel like Mendel, okay? Mendel did these great experiments and then came to these really kick-ass conclusions, and he died and they burned all of his work, and then, like, I don't know, 100 years later they figured out, hey, this guy really figured out some good shit. And so I'm thinking that's probably what's going to happen to me. But anyway, on Quora, I was reading Quora one day, and somebody said, how is it possible to remake a signal by having its Fourier transformation spectrum of frequency? I mean, where is the time function? Where is the time stored in that function? Where is time stored in a spectrum? And some people kind of came close, but not very. Here's some results that one guy did. He hand drew this freaking wave and then tried to show how these sine waves add up to make that wave. Well, those waves do not add up to make that hand-drawn wave. Anytime you see a hand-drawn wave, ignore the article. It's complete horseshit. Okay, just ignore it. So, but the question remains, right? Where's the time stored? Now, some people did come close. This time thing is stored in the phase. And so here is the standard thing that I do. I did this, I used the same wave in my last example. This is a 4% clipping off the top of the wave. And it's pretty interesting. You can see the Bullard plot, and in this Bullard plot you can see down the side I've got all the phases of all the harmonics listed, and everything's color-coded. Blue for odd harmonics, red for even harmonics. And so you can see the phases as we go down. These are the phases of the harmonics when you clip the top of the wave. What does it look like if you clip the bottom of the wave? Well, it looks pretty much the same, except that the phases of the even harmonics are flipped 180 degrees. And so I had this brilliant idea. I thought, why not make a little loop where I flip the phases 180 degrees, starting with the highest frequencies and then working my way down to the lowest frequencies. And I came up with this really cool animation that you can see here. So that distortion, which is in the first half cycle of the wave, moves to the other half of the wave. And you can see how the high harmonics move first and the lower frequencies follow it. It's really cool. So how does the spectrum store time? It stores time in the phases, and we know from Bullard laws of harmonics number 5 that the harmonics always have a phase of 0, 90, 180, or 270 degrees relative to the fundamental. You can't get that on a spectrum analyzer. You can't get that on a scope. You can't get that from anybody except me, okay? I'm the only guy who can do it. Nobody else knows, because they all tried looking at harmonics on a spectrum analyzer. That's the stupidest thing you can do. You know, I don't think I've ever used a spectrum analyzer. I hate spectrum analyzers because they use an analog method, at least the old ones did. They use an analog method called heterodyning to do the spectrum analysis. Well, that gives you the amplitude, but it doesn't give you the phase, and it can't possibly give you the phase. The only way to do it is to do an FFT. The FFT is real, absolutely 100% real. You can't say it's not. Fourier was right. No one's ever said that Fourier is wrong. So anyway, these phases all move relative to the fundamental and create a wave that moves. If I move the phases, I move the distortion. And that's with the even harmonics only. Now, if I take the even harmonics away completely, what happens? Well, both sides end up distorted. Remember that you don't get even harmonics when you distort both sides of the wave. Okay? So, it's the phase of the wave, the phase of the harmonics that determines how the time is stored in the spectrum. It's really cool. And you can easily go from wave to spectrum to wave with an inverse FFT and back again over and over again. You can do that infinitely and everything works great. Anyway, that's it for now. So I'm going to move on. So thanks for watching. Dan Bullard from the river. See you later.